Gentlemen, today we have a 2008 release, which was a British adaptation of a novel Q&A by Vika Swara. Nominated for 10 Academy Awards, won 8 of them, including Best Picture and Best Director, 7 BAFTA Awards, 5 Critics' Choice Awards, 4 Golden Globe Awards. Here's something we love on this show. $15 million budget, 378 million box office. Today we are talking about an absolute classic, Slumdog Millionaire.
Caught me off guard because you said an absolute classic.
It was absolutely a classic.
Are we already dubbing this movie a classic?
I kind of think, I won't say you have to, but you have to give some consideration, given what this movie achieved on that budget, and the fact that if you pay attention and take a look at the Hollywood landscape after this movie came out, there's a lot more Indian representation going on after this film came out, including for the actors that were in this film. You started seeing them in a lot more movies, so it was culturally impactful, both here and abroad. I would say that this movie was. So it was definitely a monster hit. Everyone was talking about this film when it first came out.
I mean, this film's painting a pretty graphic picture of Mumbai, right? It's giving you all of the poverty. It's giving It's giving you all of that right in your face and forcing you to recognize what day-to-day life is in that country.
It was very heavily class based. This film. It was definitely if you ever study Indian culture, the word pariah, we all use it. But the word pariah is like kind of the lowest class of people, the unworthy or the untouchable or whatever. I can't remember the exact term they use for them. But in this one, you kind of got to see where how these kids were coming up, and without parents, and how they had to struggle and make these less than stellar choices in life. It was definitely a movie that kind of tugged at the heartstrings a bit, and it made you laugh a little bit, and it was just like taking a look at this kid Jamal being the main character, seeing like what he went through and how it was a case of especially the game show piece of it, of experience over education. So I love that part of the film, how they kind of intertwined that and played that.
It also does a good job of early on detailing the relationship he has with his brother, and it's a typical sibling relationship. You know what I mean? Where big brother kind of it gives him a little roughhousing here and there, but at the end of the day, Big Brother was there for him, and they were able to grow together, at least for the majority of their childhood.
I like that. I like the coming of age story. I like that it came from the lower class, and I like the moves that each character had to make to survive in a sense. Yeah. I liked it all the way around the board.
This man came from, where he came from, right? And the only thing he was worried about was the girl, right?
Yeah.
That's the only thing he kept on worrying about. Yeah. Why are you not worried about any of the other kids she got locked up with? Why are you not worried about any of them? Why is his only girl? Why are you only focused on pulling up a girl because you're in love with her instead of pulling up everybody?
Adrian was talking about how the story started out. It's really just the two brothers trying to make their way after their mother was killed in a religious situation. They were killed because of their religious beliefs, and so the boys were left homeless and alone, and eventually picked up by an orphanage. And the orphanage turns out to be a group of individuals who are using children just for financial exploitation, right? And I think one of the dirtiest things we saw in this film, right? One of the dirtiest things that. So I very rarely get touched. I'm the opposite of Moan. I very rarely get touched emotionally in movies, right? But I think one of the dirtiest things we ever saw was the purposeful disabling of the children,
making
so that they would get more money back by being panhandlers.
Yeah.
That scene. And mind you, I haven't seen this film in a little bit before, reviewing it for the show, and that scene again, I was like, oh, that is one of the dirtiest moves you could ever pull on somebody.
Yeah, but it reminded me. It just reminded me, and now it do make me a little sad. Okay, a little bit. It reminded me of almost like the sex slave industry and all that stuff. How this stuff happens,
which is also in this film.
Yeah, it is. But I'm just talking about like that one is real broad. I don't know how often they, maybe it happens a lot in India, but I don't know how often they actually kidnap kids or take kids in and make them disabled on purpose just to make more money out. But I know that sex slave side is huge, man.
Yeah.
And that is disturbing. That is a little heartbreaking to me. But this movie, it was okay. All right.
Jamal, you're calling this a classic. What is there a memorable scene that jumps off the page at you though?
For me, I like the fact that when he was going through the whole TV show, their Mumbai version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like I love the fact that he had all the answers based off of life experiences.
Yep.
It was one of those rarities. It was like everything just kind of aligned. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I remembered he was talking with the host, like behind the scenes, because he wanted to basically kind of like throw the show, or like he wanted to like expose him in a sense, as if he was lying or whatever about it. Yeah. And he's just like, this is just what's happening. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're giving me questions that I just happen to know that it's nothing, And then I remember one point on the show where he's like, everybody knows this or whatever have you, and then he turns around and he gives him a question about something that's going on in the hood, and he's like, no, why would I know that? He's like, what do you mean you don't know that? Everybody knows that. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow, that's dope. You know what I mean? Just that mindset of, I may not know everything that you know about, culture and your stuff, but there's a whole nother world going on out here.
Yep. I was gonna say
we all interconnect in some way,
Yeah.
I liked it, man. I thought it was a real real movie,
So you what you were saying, like it was like lightning striking for him to be able to win that money, right? It was
exactly
1 in a billion chance of him being able to have it be on that show at that time. Obviously, this is a film, obviously, but and be able to have all those answers to the question through his life experiences.
All the stars was aligning for him at the right moment for him.
Exactly. But no, we talk about favorite scenes, and this is my favorite scene in this movie was. And it was the poop scene.
Oh,
so there's two parts to that for me, right? One is hilarious. I thought it was very funny. He wanted that autograph so bad from his favorite actor that he was willing to dive into a giant pile of excrement and walk through the crowd with that one picture. To get him to sign it, but imagery wise, that kind of took you to where he was coming from. He was coming from. That's what they consider him to be, right?
Yeah.
And to climb out of that, to be successful in your mission and going and get that autograph, was kind of like the theme for the rest of the movie, where it's like they're coming from nothing and climbing up to make themselves something, and just with different directions.
Coming from nothing, willing to walk through or go through everything just to get there and succeed.
It's funny that you mentioned that scene because and you mentioned it was 2 parts. The second part of that, yeah, we see him go. He's covered in, and he walks up and he's happy. And he gets his signature. He gets his autograph, and life is great. The next day, his brother sells the autograph. Hey, I said, "Come on, man!
Why? Why? Why?
Yo, I'd be so heartbroken after just going through that, and then your brothers sell it.
I gotta get price for it. It's like
it defines what they would do for money.
Yeah.
That's depending on your point of view of the story, it defines the brother relationship. It defines that sibling relationship that they had, really carried up throughout the rest of the story, where the brother valued money, right, and did whatever he could to get out of their current circumstances, while Jamal might have just valued, maybe I dare say, being with his brother. Maybe it's something simpler like happiness. I don't know.
Happiness. I was gonna say happiness.
You know, and that's normally what you get from a big brother, little brother, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the happiness will go on the lines of him always trying to get back with that girl as well. You know,
so I want to talk about Latika for a moment here, fellas, because Latika, as we know from watching the film, is the third musketeer of the group, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And she ends up joining up with this pair of brothers, and the 3 of them are taken to the orphanage. In an attempt to escape the orphanage and the purposeful disabling of the children. So we saw that the big brother saved little brother again. Say, hey, no, they're about to disable you, but we got to get out of here. So they split, right? They bring the girl like, yo, we got to go, right? And I think we talked about some of the heart-touching scenes in this film. One of them was when they left her behind, right? I had 3 parts of the movie that stuck out. That was one of them. I thought that was pretty sad.
They leave her behind. Salim left her behind. Salim, he pulled his hand away from her, right? Let her register in his mind, like, you know, she's not part of us. It's me and my brother. Like, that's what we're supposed to do.
So is that what you think it was?
Yeah.
100%. 100%. He was being cruel. I'm sorry, Maul, go ahead.
I would say he was being cruel. I would say she's not family. You know what I mean? Like, his job was to keep his brothers safe and do what they had to do. Having a third mouth to feed, that wasn't a part of the plan. You know what I mean? Plus, she was distracting the little brother. You know what I mean? Like, he needed the little brother to kind of basically follow his lead. He couldn't afford to have him like having somebody else take those things away. You know, and I think that's what she was doing. You know?
It seemed like he thought. Sorry, real quick. I just thought it seemed like Salim thought that Latika was taking his place with Jamal. Like, he was so used to him and Jamal being just the 2 of them, and, like, you know, Jamal looking up to him, and, you know, looking out for each other, that when he saw Jamal giving this, you know, really attention and like, you know, caring towards Latika, then he took it in a way where it was like, you know, almost like she was a kind of a threat to me. You see that with kids, like, you know, like, you know,
I agree with that.
Yeah, they get jealous, and he was jealous of her. Is what it appeared to me to be.
I feel on some scale like he knew her future, like knew what was to come of her.
I need you to go into that more.
Yeah.
Well, when you look like you brought it up, like when you look at the society of like India and stuff, and you see like the positions that, you know, each part plays, like she was a young pretty girl, with no family, no lineage, no nothing. Like, she's an orphan. You know what I mean? Her future is already written in India. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna go into like prostitution, or like, you know what I mean? Some rich guy's gonna like make you his wife or whatever have you. You're gonna be fine. We, on the other hand, we're gonna be servants. Like we're gonna have to take a long, hard road. You know what I mean? To where we're going. You know what I mean? Like
we're gonna have to go blind to beg. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like we would have to put most of our dedication and time into keeping you safe. We ain't got time for that. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't sign up for that. We don't have time for it. And I got to make the hard decision now.
That's a lot of foresight to give a little kid.
But he had to have it. Remember, the older brother, they have to have that. You know, the younger brother, they have that luxury of not having that foresight. But the older brother, look at his every path that he made, every decision he made. They have to have that foresight. You know, and like you said, he valued money.
Yeah.
Whereas the brother, he valued like love, time, anything else that was, you know, wasn't that. So
I think one of the things that kind of weirded me out, not weirded me out, it's just I found it strange that how did a childhood friendship between Jamal and Latika turn into this burning, passionate love? Where'd that come from? Like, they were kids, right? And all of a sudden now he's living his life for her, and he gotta be with her, and we're destined to be together.
Well, I think
you have those storylines in real life too. That happens sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
I think just for the abandonment in itself, he always felt like, you know, he regretted it. You know what I mean? Like he felt like indebted that if he had the chance to see her again, he would like protect her in a sense because of what happened.
It's like I said, he felt like he had to save her.
So in our Jamal here, a long time ago, you said something to me, and it stuck with me. I remember this, and I remember saying, like, you know, what does a little kid know about love? And like you said, well, you know, a little kid, that's the purest form of love because there's nothing else. There's no requirements there for them. They just love you because, and so for them, you know, for Jamal in the film and Latika, it's what it started off as caring and grew into love, and they remember as a little kid now their minds are being formed or whatever else. They made such an impact and such an impression on each other, mentally and emotionally that it was already a fairy tale in their heads before they even got together. So so that was, I think, where that came from, Chuck, to answer your question, was, you know, the impact they had as kids, and it was such a big part of each other's lives, even though they only knew each other for probably a few weeks or a few months. They were always kind of connected that way.
I honestly don't even know if Latika actually liked him.
Oh no, I don't know about that, but I know he did.
Yeah, I think he did. I don't know if she did, but her growing up in the lifestyle that she grew up, I think that her love, she learned how to connect her love with value.
Mm-hmm.
And for the fact that he won the show, it was like, okay, this is the best option for me. You know? So I'm gonna go with that.
That's my way out, yeah.
Yeah, because the guy that she was with, like, it was like, yeah, he can keep me safe, but you know, I gotta live with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, that guy was pretty abusive, man. He had his man slice her face. So like that was cold blooded. Yeah, so he's definitely was the nicest guy. And you know, remember him, you know, he was so much older than she was too.
There's one more piece I want to get into on this, and we're talking about Slumdog Millionaire. We appreciate you guys tuning into the podcast. And certainly go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow the channel as we continue to pump out more of these videos for you. And certainly hit us in the comments and let us know if there's movies that we haven't reviewed yet that you might like us to review. We'll certainly take the time out to do so. There's one more piece I wanted to get into on this before we get into the quote of the film. And we saw it with Jamal mentioning about Jamal's journey into being on the game show, Do You Want to Be a Millionaire, the Indian version. And the question I have for you guys is, the host, as they got deeper and deeper into the game, met him in the bathroom. tried to calm his nerves a little bit. Tried to, hey, don't worry about it. You know, you've done really well. Jamal's like, yo, I don't know the answer, B. I can't. Don't worry about it. Writes the answer on the mirror. Right? Would you have given that answer if you didn't know the answer to the question? Would you have given the answer the host gave you?
No, I wouldn't have. Because I'm from the hood. I'm not stupid. I know when somebody's shady or is trying to hustle me.
Mm-hmm.
That was the beauty of this movie.
Yeah.
That this dude grew up knowing people that can trick you, hustle you, play you. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't gullible.
Do you think he had that ability and not his big brother?
So go ahead, Mom.
I think they both had it. I think they both have enough skill at this point, at the age that they was at, to know to spot a hustler, to spot someone who's trying to con you.
Yeah, you could have seen him as a con man, but I was gonna say, yeah, I would have. I was trying to help it,
bro. I mean,
be over.
But I agree.
I did. Especially when they went to the 50-50 and there was only those two answers left. I was like, oh, he really got it home. He on my team.
So yeah, so the point that, you know, Jamal, and to answer your question, Chuck. So with that, he definitely picked up along the way. Again, the whole point was, over the course of his lifetime, he's gained all this experience, like a lifetime worth of experience that some people twice his age wouldn't even have, right? So he definitely knew when how to spot a hustler, how to spot someone who's trying to like get over on him. The difference between him and his brother Salim was that his brother would be one trying to do the hustling, and he was trying to go straight and narrow. So obviously it's two different paths.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely could have spotted the hustling. I mean, he's in the game too long not to be able to do that.
That's a good point, Adrian, because he's seen a hustler from his brother.
Dude, you throwing shots at me the whole time. From the beginning that I'm on the show, you're throwing little jabs at me.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden, when I'm in the bathroom and everything's good, all of a sudden you're like real nice and you're real cool, and you know what I mean? Like, you're giving me the, "I don't worry about it, buddy." Like, dude, that's not you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you're about to call me right now for that. I don't know. That's the vibe I got from it.
You know, there's something else that jumps out of the page of me. And we talked about this in the recent review we did on Blood Diamonds. So if you haven't checked that review, make sure you check out the review we did on Blood Diamonds. And there was a character played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and we kind of discussed he had some redemption qualities in that film. And I wonder if you guys are giving Salim here the same benefit of the doubt in terms of, yo, Latika, go be with him. I'll deal with things here. I'm probably not going to make it out of here. But are you guys giving him the hero role here at the end of the movie? He's the villain the whole way. He's a villain 98% of the movie. He's a villain.
I wouldn't say I'm giving him the hero route, but I would say he did go the redemption route.
He tried to redeem himself.
Yeah, so from the time he reunited with Jamal in that building, he was saying stuff like, no, God is great. He was like he had found religion, and like, even though he was still in this basically a gangster, like, killing people and doing whatever else gangsters do.
Yeah.
He was trying to find like a better path. But I mean, I can't give him a hero status, for doing the one good thing he did in the whole movie, or maybe the second good thing because he looked out for his brother.
Yeah.
Like, if we ain't giving Leo no hero status, he ain't getting no hero status. He's not getting no hero status. He tried though. He tried.
I think the only two differences between the situations is, no matter how far he'd gone into the game of what he was doing growing up, he always had that same theme, is that I'm always going to look out for my little brother.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I might do some shady stuff to him or whatever have you, but that's my right. I'm his older brother. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna somehow make it right. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that's all he was doing.
Yeah, I think that works. We've hit the time of the show where we talk with Adrian and get his quote of the film. So talk to us, Dre.
All right, so this one was there was a couple of quotes that stuck out for me in the film, and this is one I think that kind of summarized everything here. And again, I like to find quotes that summarize the film. But the police inspector said this to him. He said, "Money and women are the reason they make most of the mistakes in life. Looks like you're mixed up with both." And that was the theme I felt of the whole movie was money and love. And he was in love with this girl. His brother was in love with money. So the whole theme was, how to make money and chasing money and chasing love are the two things he did in this movie. And this is one of the quote, which is not my quote in the movie, but I want to throw it in here real quick, where Jamal says to her, "Run with me." And she says, "And live on what?" And Jamal says, "Love."
Yeah.
And so I want those two in it together because I think they kind of play off each other and kind of gives an example of really what the film was really about, in my humble opinion.
Can I just say that's the softest thing I ever heard in the history of my life? Hey, come on, man. Come on, man. Let's live off love. Get out of here, son. Look at me.
Don't take that.
Jamal, we've hit the end of the show, brother. We have to grade Slumdog Millionaire on our general unspoken scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the best. What's your grade, brother?
I'm gonna give it a 5.
You get songs out like candy, bro.
I thought it was a solid film from start to finish. I felt like it had all the elements of a great movie. Yeah, I love the cast. The cast was awesome. The characters was amazing, especially for the fact that these aren't big stars to the U.S. You know what I mean? Like
that was nice.
Some of them were kind of known, but they weren't big stars to the U.S. So to take on such a movie like this and just make it a success, yeah. The acting was definitely needed to be on point, and I think it was. So yeah, I give it 5 stars.
Adrian, talk to me, brother. 1 to 5, 5 being the best. Listen. If you're new to tuning into the Unspoken series, we have yet to give a film 5 stars across the board. And what we'll label that as an unspoken classic. That's how we'll do that. But we haven't reached that yet. It looks like we're on our way. If Adrian's playing nice, we'll see.
All right, so unfortunately, we're not going to get there today.
Yeah, you're gonna wrap that up.
And I really, really like this movie, and watch this movie again after over a decade seeing it the first time. Being a little more analytical with the film. I really, really like it, but there were some some things that weren't really hitting. But I'm going to give this movie. I'm actually going I think it's still a really good movie. So I'm going to give this movie a 4 on my scale here. I think it's up there.
Okay, Moan, we've missed the classic mark here, but we can still do very good here on the Unspoken. How are you feeling?
Moan, give me a high 5.
No, sir. I'm gonna give this movie a 4. I'm gonna give it a 4.
Really? After all that trash talk, you give it a 4.
I wanted to give it a 3, but I'll give it a 4 because it actually was a really well done movie. And like y'all said, it did open the door for a whole new wave to come in here, and that was really good. So I will give it a 4, but when we get offline, it might move to a 3. I don't know.
I think I'm gonna take that 3, Moan, and I'm gonna run with that 3. So listen, this didn't do it for me. You guys know me very well. You know me well enough to know I don't deal with sentimentality in films. I don't need things tugging at my heartstrings and oh my God, it's sad. I don't need that. in movies, right? So this doesn't do that for me, right? Secondarily, this movie was predictable. I hope that you all can see that this movie was predictable.
Oh yeah,
right? So
I agree.
we saw that, okay, there's no chance this kid's not going to win the game show. We knew that from the beginning, right? We also knew from the beginning there's no chance he's not going to end up with the girl, right? So once you know all that, okay. I like a little twist in my films. I like a little twist, a little something different in the story. And here's the last thing, and this is where I really ding them on the score. This is why it drops from a 4 to a 3, is you had the makings of what could have been classic villains here. These two guys were like villains, right? But we didn't talk about them. Throughout this whole review, they didn't really make our most important part of things to discuss list, right? Yeah. We had one guy disabling kids. We mentioned him for 10 seconds. We had another older guy who was a gangster beating his wife. We didn't talk about him at all, right? When you have these kind of slots for villains in a story, I think you expound on them a little bit more. We talked about this in just a different review where they did a great job of developing the villains. So we learned to hate the villains in others' tales. I don't hate these villains because I didn't know enough about them in the story. You know what I mean? We didn't delve enough into them with the writers. So it's a missed opportunity.
But Chuck, so wouldn't you bump the score up a little bit given the Bollywood dance number at the end of the film? I mean,
that helped. That helped. But because we don't do halves, I couldn't go to 3.5, so I had to stay at 3.
I that's why I was like, are they really gonna do the dance number? And then as it went on, I was like, oh, this number's pretty good.
Yeah, I tell you guys what, if we hit 1,000 comments on this, we're gonna have Moan do a Bollywood dance.
There you go. Matter of fact, have Moan Jamal do it sequence. Like,
we appreciate you guys tuning in to the Unspoken Movie Review Podcast. We will be back with you very soon for additional reviews. So, for your boy Charlie Hustle,
Super Moan,
Mr. Cinema,
Movie J.
we'll catch you next time on the Unspoken.
High five.